Are we live?
Push the button.
I think I pushed the button. Are we live? Maybe we're live. Who knows?
Find out.
All right. Welcome all to Hit or Miss. I'm your host, Night Strike, and I've got AWAG here with me this evening because nobody else wanted to show up, I guess, or everybody's else busy off doing other things. So, I mean, I don't really feel like doing Hit or Miss right now, but I'm doing it anyways because, well, you know, I got to get back on the horse somehow. But, yeah, no, my heart's not in it still. I don't know. With everything that's going on, honestly, I'm losing faith, guys, with everything that's going on. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should have more faith and whatnot. But I'm seeing what's going on, and it's just like, it's not good. Things aren't going well. So we got Scott 79 out there. He was first. Sean Ponery is out there. Mr. F&H is out there. AWAG's out there. And Sean's like, I don't even get links anymore. Yeah, well, not all of us
Send
get
him
links.
a link.
Should I send him a link? Do you think he'll behave?
Send him a link.
You think he'll behave? All right. All right, all this peer pressure. Uh-oh, we got Mario here. Watch out.
What happened?
Howdy.
I don't know what happened. We're still figuring that out.
How you doing, man? Are we live? No, are we live?
Yes, we are live. So keep it PG-13, 14 if you can tonight.
You're asking a lot from me.
Well, you know, if you can't hold it in, then I'm going to ask you. You know, I'll have to have roll call show you where the door is because we got to keep this, you know, at least structured and civil. Okay.
Okay.
I don't go on your channel and blast your channel, do I? No, I don't.
Oh, God.
Not that you care, I know, but still.
God, somebody's so sensitive today.
Yeah, well, just I'm a sensitive person, right?
So sensitive, God.
So sensitive.
Don't hurt his sensors. He needs them.
No, we broke all the sensors, remember?
Okay. So what are we going to talk about?
I have no idea. I don't even think I have Sean's number anymore. Wait. There it is. Yeah, we can talk about that. I don't want to make that the focus tonight. What's going on with Minneapolis, and the George Floyd decision. We can talk about it if you want. I really don't want that to be the corner piece tonight, though.
No, I think that's already played out, man. Honestly, all I can say is at least we don't have riots going on today.
Yet, the verdict on that is still out. The answer is yet.
Yeah. I just think that if anything, it probably solved a lot of people from dying and a lot of property damage. That's all I could say.
So how's everybody holding up tonight?
I'm holding up. It's just I'm trying to get all my thoughts collected, all my notes in order before we get to the topics and everything this evening. It's just I'm not depressed, but I'm still sad right now. Okay. So
Understandable.
My last grandparent died, so it's.
Yeah, no.
I'm still trying to get over it. All right.
No, I mean that's you're being a human, bro.
So, yeah, no, I shouldn't focus on that stuff and whatnot and be depressed or sad or anything. It's just, it's hard to get over the loss of a loved one, and I'm not good at that. I've never gotten over it.
No, it's tough, man. It's tough. You know what I always had a tendency of doing, and I used to tell that to because unfortunately, whenever we go, we would go overseas, and we knew we were going to get in combat. Like we all had each other's letters just in case one of us survived. Give that to our spouses and stuff like that. Um, One of the things I used to tell my guys, like, dude, don't cry for me, man. If anything, celebrate it. Celebrate my life. Celebrate the good times we had, and think of it more in that aspect than in the negative aspect of it or the sad part of it. I mean, of course, nobody wants anybody to die, but it's just part of life.
I know, I know, and I accept that it's part of life. It's just it's hard. It's hard getting it for me. For me, it's hard processing. The emotions and processing.
Well,
you expect them to be there and then they're not there.
Yeah, I mean, it's your grandparent. I mean, it's somebody who you got to pretty much, was your
yeah. I'm sorry to bring this up again, guys. It's just it's hard for me right now.
No, it's okay, man. You're just being.
Anyways,
human,
I got topics. So we can talk about some stuff. We'll start with the George Floyd, and we're just gonna passing topic, okay? We're not gonna make it the centerpiece, but I mean, I think the verdict was a little harsh, and it was done so just to prevent rioting and whatnot.
I think so too. I think he was.
I mean, no, I'll give you. He probably deserved negligence manslaughter because yes, he didn't do. He may have thought he was doing the procedure right, but if it resulted in someone dying, then he didn't do it right. Unfortunately for him, and honestly, do your job right the first time, and then no one will die.
Well. And I think the biggest aspect when it comes to this whole situation is that, you kill somebody, when they need to die. But think about the effect that this had on police officers. I mean, my best friend, well, not my best friend, but my neighbor, who is black, he's a cop. And he was telling me, dude, I have never heard such hatred from people. From my own people, calling me a sellout, calling me an Uncle Tom. Why the hell am I doing this job? And he was like questioning whether he should still be a cop or not. And I'm like, wow, it's really sad. It's really sad that one event has made them change that way.
And all I want to say, Sean, you're out there. Check your goddamn emails. And second, Scott was out there saying, Scott said, I was figuring he was going to get negligent manslaughter, but honestly, he's got so many built-in appeals with how poorly this trial was run. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a lot of
because I hate to say it like this, but it's been there's so much stuff out there. There was so much politics interfered with the judicial process, and even the judge ended with saying, by the way, people in politics got into this trial when they shouldn't have, and they should have just let the judicial branch do their job.
Yeah,
he said that.
That's unfortunately that is not the case anymore. This is the same administration that wants to put
pack the courts,
judges in the Supreme Court.
Yep, they want to pack the courts. They want the court. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court this evening too, if we get a chance. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Honestly, if someone dies in part due to your negligence, if you do a job, then yes, you are held responsible for your actions. Yeah, it sucks that somebody had to die. It sucks that you have to bite the bullet and take the punishment. But if you don't do the crime, you don't do the time.
Yeah.
I mean, flat out, I expected him to get some sort of trial. At the very least, I expected him to get a slap on the wrist, him get fired, removed from the force, everything, put on administrative leave at the least. At the most, I figured they'd give him, negligent manslaughter, right? I didn't think he deserved second or third degree murder because he wasn't intentionally trying to murder the guy, and that's the issue that I have with the whole trial.
Yeah,
that and the fact that you have politicians going and saying if they don't get the verdict they want, there will be riots and inciting violence.
Yeah, how is a U.S. Congressperson?
How is it? I just want to know how a Democratic representative from California has any say in a case that's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think there is something that you don't understand about Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters was a city councilman when the LA riots happened. So
she was responsible for the LA riots. There you go.
No, look, just listen to me, dude. What I'm saying is that she understands what can happen when people are upset. She understands when justices are not being done. Like what happened to Rodney King, we all know was just complete BS. These guys beat the living crap out of him for no reason. There was no justification for what they did to Rodney King. I don't give a damn what you want to tell me. What happened to that man was horrible, and for them to be considered not guilty, and then you expect the things that happened. So to a certain point, I'm not agreeing with this lady, but I'm for you guys to kind of understand her point of view. I don't agree with it, but what I do tell you is that what, she has lived through it because she was a city council person in LA when this whole thing happened, and it happened to be South Central LA, where she happens to at that time be a council person. So she does have some sort of understanding of what can happen. I don't agree with her going out there and saying that, justice needs to be served, and if we don't get the verdict we want, we're going to loot or we're going to hurt people, whatever the case may be. That should never come from an elected official.
No, it shouldn't.
Period. And the story, that's it,
I agree with Squib. She is indeed, but I can't say that on air right now. So, but Sean, you got your link. Are you done cramming?
I'm here.
Okay, so weigh in. I know you want to say something.
I have watched politicians for the last 2 days talk about her, and the only thing I can really chime in with is grow a pair of fucking balls, because these politicians are only pushing for censure. This woman has a 29-year history of inciting violence, and she is personally responsible for the deaths of 68 people in 1992. I don't care what happened to Rodney King. She motivated people that led to the deaths of 68 people.
Wait
There's no justification for that. Zero.
First of all, I don't know who you're talking to, and if that little comment that you made. Okay. Because I'm be honest with you, bro. I lived in LA. I was living in South Central LA. So
yeah, and you saw her motivate people to destroy a city and kill 68 people.
When did you see that?
In 1992. See, I grew up in that shit.
Okay, but when did she specifically said that? Because
she motivated the people to stand up and fight. She motivated the people just a few days ago to fight. She motivated the people 2 years ago to, I don't know if you remember this, but her mantra was impeach 45, impeach 45, impeach 45. She sounded like a goddamn parrot. Okay. Her whole career is based on a artificial race war. And all she's trying to do is incite violence. And all she gets is power by motivating idiots to go do stupid things in public. Okay? She has got blood on her hands. A censure is something you do to somebody who does something that is not socially acceptable, that doesn't lead to like criminal charges or like, just physical damage or the taking of other people's lives. She is responsible for other people's lives. She is a follower of Louis Farrakhan. She is a person who makes her living by screwing with everyone else. And she has no place in politics. When you start to incite violence, when you try to push a artificial impeachment on a duly elected president, and then turn around and do the exact same thing, but actually lead to people's deaths, you have no place in public office. She's got to go. Okay?
Yeah,
If the people of
agree
California
with you.
have the guts and the balls to try to recall Gavin Newsom, then get rid of the crypt keeper while you're in there, because she's 10 times worse.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
Right. Like I didn't say anything like to poke at you about that. I'm just saying that she's got to go. And like, if you guys have been living in that state and you have seen decades of this, when are you going to put your hands up and go, enough? Okay. Enough of our people have left this state. Enough of our people have voiced their opinion. When are we just going to get rid of the people that are forcing our residents to leave in droves? And, you know, I know somebody who recently left another situation in another state, and he has moved to California. And I'm really happy for him, because he's the kind of guy who's going to go there and he's going to be like, this is not going to work. He's a table flipper. And I hope it works out for all of you guys out there, because you've got an ally. He just came there from, I think, Pennsylvania. And I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure some of you know who it is. And I'm really glad that he's done it. I'm really happy for him. But like, that's the perfect thing that can happen for the state of California, because that guy doesn't take crap from anybody. So like, if he's going to become like a voice for your state, more power to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Good
know
point.
about your grandma Night Strike, but I'm really sorry to hear it. Like, I don't have any living relatives other than my mom and my dad and my uncle. And I didn't know my grandmother. You know, I was raised by her until I was only 3.
Yeah.
And she was the only relative I had. So like, I don't know what you're going through, and I don't know what it's like, but I wish I could have experienced it.
This was my mother's mother, so it's been hard for me, not only just because it's my grandmother, but also because it's my mom's mom.
Right. I mean, I wish I could know what you're feeling, but
I know.
I feel for you.
I mean, surely you've lost other family members.
I don't have very many. My extended family is a pretty short little tree.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm really sorry to hear that.
That's cool. It's cool. Like, I mean, I saw your videos about it before, and I just, you know, I was like,
yeah, that's why I've been so off and on with the whole hit or miss thing lately. It's because I was spending weeks watching her go from being, you know, upright, talkative, functional human being while being old. I'm gonna give you that, to in a hospital bed, to going down even further, can't even talk anymore, to the point of which sleeping all the time, and then going into a straight up coma and dying.
Yeah, I mean, my dad right now, he's 85, and he was diagnosed with dementia about 4 years ago, and it's rough. Like, his short-term memory doesn't exist. His long-term memory is unbelievable. But trying to, like, I take care of him. You know, he lives in my house. And it's really, really weird to see the guy that molded who you are just forget everything, you know? And it's like, one of these days, he's not even going to remember who I am. And that's going to be a really hard pill to swallow. But, like, in the meantime, you know, I'm doing what I can. You know, I've put things in front of him to give him a routine. So it's like, my dad is the age of most people's grandparents, because I was born from a second marriage. So even though I don't have the intimate experience of, you know, a grandparent, my dad is basically a grandparent, right? So it's like, I sort of feel it, but it's like, I see it every day. Like, there's a little less of him every day. And one of these days I'm going to have to go through what you're going through. And, you know, it's just like, I can empathize, because I've had to do grief counseling before when I was in residency. And it's like, I've seen so many different versions of this. And I think, honestly, for as long as this has been going on for you, I think you've handled it very well. Like, you do have to take time for yourself. like having your little absences is perfectly normal because
And it's yeah, I know it's normal, but the problem is if I want my YouTube channel to do well, I have to stop doing absences and start doing more videos because I've gone from having 170 subscribers to 110, 1,010. So it's it's how shit. I'm going to say this, and I apologize for cursing ahead of time, but guys, shit happens.
No, it does. You're right.
And unfortunately, we got to roll with it. Unfortunately,
You're absolutely right. And I tell people this all the time about their YouTube channels. Like, I don't have that many, but I tell people your channel is a farm, and your crop is your videos and what you produce. And if people want to buy it, they'll eat it, and they'll subscribe, and they'll do whatever they can. So your diehard subscribers will stay because they know what you're going through. The ones that come and go, they're going to do that no matter what anyway. So just keep planting your seeds, keep sowing your farm, and eventually it's going to bear the fruit you're expecting.
Right. So, I'm working on stuff. I think I may be doing some more tech videos and stuff again. Some people asked me about the Raspberry Pi build I did a while back and why I didn't do the last video, and that was because I did try and do the last video, and YouTube popped me for the sound because of copyrighted Nintendo sounds. You know how Nintendo is about their copyrights.
Oh yes.
Yes. So I got popped on that, so I just deleted that video. That's why I never made the last video of it working, because it didn't work. So
it didn't work, meaning the Raspberry Pi or the video?
The music in the video. Because it was copyrighted.
I managed to get away with is that Foos?
That is Foos.
Cow. I managed to get away with the theme song to This Old House.
The Foos is loose in his truck.
I saw a beard and I was like, wait a minute, I recognize that face.
Hold on.
Oh, you got gray hair now. Welcome to the club.
Dude. Oh, I've had gray hair for almost 20 years. It's just long now.
Oh, okay.
You're making me feel good because I just turned 42 and the only gray hairs are in my nose. So
I hit 40 at the end of last month.
I told my girlfriend I turned 42 last Monday, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, I have become the answer to life, the universe, and everything in between, because she doesn't know who Isaac Asimov is. That was a hard thing to explain.
Yeah, I got gray hair throughout.
Yeah, I got it in my sideburns and I got it in my beard, so it sucks. But hey, that's life. All right, so I want to get to some topics tonight. I don't think we're really going to be able to get through all of them, but I do want to mention the one from New York, because this is interesting. New York man beats ghost gun charges after judge tosses warrant. Did you hear about this?
Good.
This is by bearingarms.com. While the Biden administration is moving to end the sale of unfinished firearm frames and receivers by having the ATF redefine them as completed firearms, federal authorities have already been quietly pursuing cases against individuals that they suspect are breaking the law by building their own guns. One recent case in New York has been dismissed, however, after a judge ruled that police illegally obtained a warrant by misleading authorities in their warrant application.
Well, it can't be. They can't arrest them for something that's not illegal. It's not illegal. So that it should have been thrown out because it wasn't illegal. That's asinine.
Yeah, you have a legal right in this country to manufacture a device to defend your life. It only becomes a crime if you do not serialize it as you try to pursue a sale of it.
Correct.
So there is no crime there.
Right. I agree completely. But again, they go on to say a 52-year-old John Andrews Jr. was facing 6 felony firearm counts after police raided his home last year. His alleged crime: he purchased a solvent trap online. The federal authorities maintained
That's not a crime.
no, it's not. That Andrews was going to turn the device into a suppressor when they sought a warrant. However, they wrote in their application that Andrews had illegally purchased a silencer. So before he's done any... So basically they were saying because he bought a solvent trap, he was going to automatically make a silencer from that.
So even if he bought it with the intent to make a suppressor, and he was going to form one said suppressor and not turn the solvent trap into a suppressor prior to that, that's still not illegal.
Right,
You can
because
buy it with the intent of making a suppressor if your intention is to go ahead and form one previous to doing it, because you're intending to be within the law. You're going to manufacture a silencer in the proper way.
I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to criminalize the idea that he had drilled out the baffles before being approved for the Form 1. You can buy the trap, you can fill out the Form 1, and the moment they agree to it, you can have the serial number and your name engraved on it and drill it out to your heart's content. So if they threw this out, well, if they threw this out, it's because he didn't drill it.
They said instead of him purchasing a solvent trap, that he had he had illegally purchased a silencer instead. You see, they lied.
Right.
Yeah,
they said that what he bought was already a suppressor, or he had the intent to build one, and he probably poked the holes in it already.
Yeah.
But they threw it out, obviously, because when they turned it in for state's evidence, it wasn't drilled through. So they were like, no, this isn't even done yet.
But
even if you would, let's say you would drill it through and doesn't drill the end cap, is it still suppressor?
Gray area.
Can you make parts? I thought you can make parts as long as you don't put that final hole in to make it through.
no,
It's kind of a gray area because I've seen these quote solvent traps, and what it is the baffle system is one piece all molded together, and then the caps are on the ends. So and the caps are dimpled.
Squibb is yelling at us saying, "You guys are overlooking the fact that he's in New York State. Everything is illegal there."
Oh yeah,
I saw it. He was splitting the hair because everything in New York is illegal. But I talk to Jared every day, and it's like, as bad as you think New York is, just listen to him talk about Massachusetts. Everything's illegal in Massachusetts. Like everything.
Yeah.
Everything's illegal in New Jersey as well.
Oh yeah.
Let's not forget about New Jersey.
New Jersey
You're
got
not even
worse.
allowed.
I sent a link to AWAG the other day. New Jersey got worse.
I heard 14
Yeah, New
Nuts
Jersey
was
got
illegal
worse.
in New Jersey. Is that true, AWAG?
Jeez. Pretty much. Also, it's illegal to pump your own gas in New Jersey, and will apparently get you a $500 fine if you pump your own gas. So for the last 6 months that I was in New Jersey, I pumped my own gas.
I should drive up there with Texas plates and be like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Right. So the report says, what's it? I'm moving over to it.
If you can't pump your own gas, how much did the gas go up to pay that person to pump it for you?
Probably $5 or $10.
Okay.
On average,
so
out here, your average full service is an additional $1 per gallon.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
when I was in New Jersey for Easter, gas was $3.20 a gallon.
Regular?
Regular.
Regular. All right.
So,
87 octane.
Ouch.
So you're looking at what a buck? Like right now, it's about $2.50 here in Kansas City. So.
Right. All right. It says Andrew's online order shipped from China was flagged by Customs and Border Protection agents in California, according to a West Seneca police report. The shipping label described the package's contents as a gear shift knob. Federal authorities deemed it to be a silencer and contacted West Seneca police. They set up plans to make a controlled delivery so they can catch him in the act of the package to Andrews' residence. That happened early in the afternoon of January 7th, 2020. Police came armed with a search warrant from the West Seneca Town Justice Shannon Filbert. In addition to West Seneca police, there were agents from Homeland Security Investigations, ATF, Immigration, and Customs Law Enforcement, and the U.S. Postal Inspector's Office, according to the town police report.
It would be really funny if he would have had like an old Ford out there without a ball on its shifter.
See, this is the problem. What's going on with these shippers is they are declaring an item something that is not advertised as at the point of sale. So like if the vendor created this and they called it a quote solvent trap, when they shipped it for customs, they should have listed it as a solvent trap. Then it would be less red flag. But what they're trying to do is, like, let's be honest, guys. We all know what it is. We see it. We look at it. We know what it is. I know what it is. Foos knows what it is. All you know what it is because we know what to do with it. But if you try to sit there and skirt around import laws by changing the classification of it before it gets here, like you could have just said it's a solvent trap and it would have flown under the radar perfectly fine. But they didn't do that. So it tripped them out and they were like, oh, the buyer must have did that. But the thing is it's the response, it's the shipper's fault for declassifying it and changing it at customs.
Right.
And then the recipient became the target, which is not fair. Which is probably another reason why it got thrown out. You know, it's like when this thing arrived, they were like, that's not a gear shift knob. And he was like, I didn't buy a gear shift knob. I bought a solvent trap. Look at my fucking receipt. And they were like, oh, well, that's still a silencer. And he's like, it's got no holes in it. You can take it and I'll take you to court. And they were like, oh. And then the judge looked at it and he goes, the guy's receipt says solvent trap. And there's nothing in here that has holes in it. So
it's
why
not
are
a silencer.
Right. So he was like, ATF, why are you bothering me with this? Case dismissed.
Right. So again, they go on to say shortly after the mail carrier handed Andrews his delivery and he went back in the house, there was a loud knock on the front door. When police went inside the Queens Drive's home, they found guns that served as the basis for 8 felony weapon possession charges against Andrews.
Those are New York compliant.
The problem with the warrant a West Seneca police detective got for Andrews' home, which was based on information supplied by federal agencies, was this. They told a town justice Andrews was getting a silencer shipped to him, not a solvent trap. The choice of words used by the police in the application were persuasive and wrong, Justice Christopher J. Burns wrote in his January 14th decision. As a result, this court must find there was a reckless disregard for the true nature of the item and must suppress any items recovered through the search warrant.
Right.
Now,
so the warrant writer...
You said he was like 70 some odd?
He was 52.
56.
52, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Again, a month later, Burns dismissed the criminal charges against Andrews, who says he's now planning a civil rights lawsuit, is trying to get the guns that were seized in the raid on his home returned to him. Yeah, good luck in New York. They probably already destroyed them.
Well, that's a whole different lawsuit.
Yep.
No, that's a whole different lawsuit.
He also needs to sue New York. He needs to sue New York for civil anguish.
Yep.
Because that's a month and a half or something of stress and stuff. Yeah.
It may very well be the case that some individuals who buy a solvent trap designed for gun cleaning modify them to become suppressors, and doing so is illegal without filing the proper forms. Simply buying a solvent trap, on the other hand, is perfectly fine under the law. The possession of a legally obtained and owned item is not and should not be considered evidence that the owner plans on breaking the law. If he just continues using it as a solvent trap just to clean his firearms, there's no problem with that. No one has any problem with that. The only time people have problems is when they break the law and there's holes in it when there shouldn't be without the proper forms and tax stamps.
Correct.
So,
I've bought 2 M16 parts kits with the full auto sear. I've bought the jigs to, quote, drill the third hole. But until I have done those things, what I have done has been 100% within compliance with the law. And I actually notified my county sheriff, who is now my congressman, and he was like, "You didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry about it."
It is until the intent of you to drill it.
And
if you did it for education purpose, it's the intent. But it's so damn hard to.
What I ended up doing is I put them in a teak box with a piece of frosted engraved glass that says, "In case of boog, break glass," as a joke. And I gave one to the congressman. And he was just like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this."
So anyways, that again, they want to say that suppressors shouldn't be NFA items, and that Andrew's case ultimately was a colossal waste both of time, money on the part of the federal officials, but it's a sign of things to come under an ATF that's been weaponized by Joe Biden and his appointee gun control activist and former ATF agent David Chipman. This particular abuse took place during the Trump administration, but both Biden and Chipman want to empower the agency to conduct more bogus busts like this that could have landed Andrews in federal prison for more than a decade. So,
yeah, agreed. I mean, when Trump was in office, I actually wrote him a letter regarding his order for a bump stock ban in a similar situation, and I'm like, listen, what you're doing is a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment. I'm like, bump stocks, like when you banned bump stocks, you literally took thousands of people out of work overnight by demonizing an entire industry. Like Slide Fire Systems went out of business overnight because of that. Think of all the people who were involved in R&D, manufacturing, casting, research, logistics, marketing. All those people were out of a job. And I'm like, you're the guy who was supposed to save jobs, and you unilaterally destroyed an entire industry at the stroke of a pen by making an order.
Technically, it's also against the Fifth Amendment too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like this
because
in
the sense of that a bump stock was property,
right? But in the solvent trap case, like this was absolutely like an illegal search and seizure, because they took guns from him as what's the word, when they come in and they have like justifiable cause or whatever. They were like, "Oh, seizure. We're here for a solvent trap, but look at all those guns. We're taking those too because that's got to be wrong." Now we got to fight to get them back.
What's that? Substantial evidence or something like that? Or
no, it's like probable cause or whatever. But they saw them and they were just like, "Those are all illegal." And he was like, "I live in New York. Don't you think I know my laws?"
Yeah.
You think I want this retarded stock on the back of this AR?
So, Sean, one of the other topics that we're going to talk about tonight was that the Texas House passed a permitless carry, and I don't know if you saw Clover's video the other day where he was commenting on he made a small snippet where the Democrats, or at least one Democrat official in the Texas House, actually brought a good point and had got an amendment that no one could argue on. And that was the one where people who had gotten arrested for just having the firearm on them, should be exonerated.
Yeah.
Possession? Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody argued with that, and everyone's like, well, I think we'll add it to it. And it kind of, I would like to have seen her face when she heard that everybody had just, no one said no on that one.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience that I was trying to motivate one of my friends about 5 years ago to get his CHL. Right. And what ended up happening is I was waiting for him to go ahead and do it, and mine had lapsed. So by the time I realized that it was expired, they told me that I would just have to go through the process again, which, you know, in most cases I wouldn't care. But I was trying to like get a friend to go, and I figured misery loves company. I would get him to go with me, and then it would sort of take some of the stigma out and like calm him down a bit. Well, the thing is he flaked, mine expired, and I had never renewed since. Because after a while, I started to follow these people who told me, why are you paying a tax to exercise your constitutional rights when you have a party of people who screen poll tax for every other instance of this? And I thought, you know what? You guys are right. Why am I paying a tax to exercise my rights? So I don't pay it anymore. And I carry my gun every day because in Texas, you have the legal right to carry a firearm on your person in your car between your house and your place of business.
Yeah.
So every time I get pulled over,
that's
people are like,
because you guys have castle doctrine, right?
right. And when I get pulled over,
we've got the same thing in South Carolina. It's I think it's a common thing among the South.
Yes.
You know? So there might be one or two states that don't have castle doctrine in the same sense, but primarily, you know, across the South, a lot of us have that same castle doctrine.
Well, see, certain castle doctrines don't say your place of business in all places.
And Missouri
in
has
between.
Constitutional carry.
Right.
Yeah,
but I mean,
right.
see, we're working towards that. I got pulled over one time in the time that I've had my CHL lapse. And the guy was very professional, and he was like, do you have any firearms in the car? And I reached over and I grabbed my bag and I handed my whole bag, my work bag. I took the whole bag and I handed it to him. And he's like, what's this? And I'm like, there's a pistol in here. And he goes, okay. And he was like, is there any reason you have it? And I'm like, well, I carry it between my house and my job. And he's like, well, that's fine. And he just handed it back to me and I put it back on my seat. Like, that was it. The whole confrontation was, do you have a firearm? Yes, here's the bag. Take the whole thing. And he was just like, thank you for telling me that. And I just put it right back on the seat.
Right. No,
like that was it.
You were more than honest with them, and you know, I wish more law enforcement officers would take that same approach. You know.
Well, I mean, if you have nothing to hide and you are that casual in your answer, you have disarmed any fear that you're going to endanger his life. Like, I just grabbed my work bag and I'm like, here, take the whole thing. Like, one time I was asked to step out of the car. I had stepped out of the car. This was before I had a CHL. This was when I was a teenager. I stepped out of my Jeep and the guy was like, are there any firearms in the car? And I'm like, no, but there's a 12-inch Bowie knife on the sun visor. And I was already out of the truck by then. And he was like, what's that doing up there? And I just looked at him. I'm like, have you ever been carjacked before? No. I'm like, I just carry it as insurance. But you can take it out if you need to. He just flipped it down, took one look at it, and he goes, that's fine. Flipped it back up, and he's like, you can get back in your truck.
Right.
Like, if you just come out front and tell people like that, you're not going to get a knee in your neck, and you're not going to die of suffocation.
Too soon, man. Too soon. But yeah, it's just so again. So it's going to the state senate now. The permitless carry bill. Do you think it has a chance of passing?
So recently, as of 2 days ago, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has said in public that he does not feel comfortable with the idea of permitless carry. This is a Republican lieutenant governor who ran with Governor Hot Wheels, who said, I support the Second Amendment. Okay. He turns around and he goes, I don't really feel comfortable with this, because he started rapping off all the typical BS of it's going to be the Wild West. There's going to be.
So he's outed himself as a rhino, and
yes,
he's
exactly.
probably going to get. I guess he's not going to win any re-elections. That's for sure.
Well, so what he said was he doesn't think that there's enough votes in the state Senate to push this bill through. So what I have been doing, and many Texans, including Ghost, I'm sure, including Clover, has probably been doing, is we have been telling people this is going on. You need to contact your state senator, state, Congress people. This is the address to Dan Patrick. This is the number to the Capitol. And basically, you just need to be very polite and very direct and say, listen, if you have any aspirations for getting reelected or advancing your career, you will see this through. That's all I did. I called him. That's exactly what I said. And that was the end of it. And they were like, well, thank you for your call. And I'm like, no problem. Like, you don't have to be rude. You just have to be direct and just say, this is a message for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who ran with my governor, who said that he wanted permitless carry. He lowered the fees. This was part of a 3-step program to prove that more people carrying lowers crime. And now he's trying to renege on this, and I don't find that acceptable. So if he has any desire to continue to have my support, he will see this through. He will find the votes.
And the thing is, my governor was the former lieutenant governor when Nikki Haley was governor of South Carolina, and she was very pro open carry. She was pro constitutional carry. Okay, she's like, get the bill on my desk, I'll sign it. And McMaster, who was her lieutenant governor at the time before she went and became ambassador, he is of the same stock. He's like, get the bill on my desk, I'll sign it. He's very pro Second Amendment, to the point where how some sporting goods stores were saying, or during the COVID, saying they were essential businesses, but they didn't sell any guns or ammo. You heard about that stuff.
Yeah.
And he basically went out and said, listen, if you do not sell guns or ammo in your sporting goods store, you are not an essential business. And he made sure that gun shops, gun stores, sporting goods stores that sold guns, anybody who sold firearms were open during the whole pandemic, so people could go and get them. Some shops closed down, voluntarily. They didn't have to, though.
A lot of my smaller shops in my state, they did have to shutter their doors and shut down temporarily, just because their buying power was so weak that the bigger fish was taking up all the inventory.
Right,
so
right.
I will give a pass to certain shops with certain hardships. But like you're saying, if you have a business that is deemed essential because you provide these things, there's no excuse why you shouldn't continue to provide them. Don't make the excuse that I can't get them and shut your doors. If you can get them, just say, hey, my inventory is limited. Because I go to an FFL that's an hour away from me, and what he does is he gets limited inventory. He updates every day. He does it through social media. He does it through a text system. And he goes, I cannot do holds. I will not take pre-orders. I'm just going to let you know when I have it. First come, first serve. Just be aware that I've got limited stock. He's been open every day.
Yeah.
And he sells out constantly.
Well, that's good. Obviously, that's good. He's getting lots of business. It's good to hear that even the little guy's doing well.
Yeah, it's limited business only because of limited stock, but he still shows up every day.
Yeah. It's just right now. I've been centering the South Carolina Senate Judiciary Committee chairman. I've been sending him emails and calling him up and letting his office know that that they need to get on the ball with H 3094 and 3096, and if the majority aren't comfortable with 3096, at least pass 3094. Because that's at least a stepping stone to where down the line, if it works, we can do 3096. And the reason I say these two bills is they're the South Carolina bills. 3094 is open carry with a concealed carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So you guys are following what Texas did a couple of years ago.
Right.
You started by offering license carry, then you changed your license carry to open carry with the license.
It turned around, but the person that instituted 3094 went and 2 bills later instituted, constitutional carry, and both of them got voted on and passed by overwhelming majority in the House. It's just the problem that South Carolina has always had is in the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. There's always been a ton of rhinos, one of which was the one who responsible for getting rid and downvoting a lot of these bills as chairman, who is related to a certain guy in Greenville, of which we won't name. But but again, it's just the factor that he's no longer chairman. This other guy has flopped in the bills too, but. I'm really hoping that we do get, at the very least, if we can get open carry with a concealed carry permit that still requires you to have an 8-hour course. I understand that. I don't like it. I don't like having to pay for that stuff, but I can understand it if it gets our foot in the door. Okay.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Remember, our rights were taken away from us, whittling one little thing at a time. And I believe that we need to whittle our way back up, just in the same way, because that's the only way we're going to get what we want. Because they were able to do it in reverse. Why can't it happen for us too?
So, okay, I'm with you. I'm totally with you on this. But my approach to the solution is a little different than yours. So lately, just to give you a little backstory, Texas went through the same program. Texas has been waffling on the final stage of Governor Abbott's proposal. His first proposal was to take the CHL and lower it to 33%. So it was originally $150. He dropped it down to like $47. And I was like, hey, that's cool. And then the second stage was open carry with your license. I was like, that's cool. And what he was doing was he was incrementing this in steps to prove over time that these extra freedoms had led to lower crime because the exposure of firearms by the law-abiding citizen is more prevalent. And
Right.
He was correct, which every other state that's done this has been correct. The last part has been hung up by two things. One, we had the Santa Fe shooting and the Santa Fe high school shooting. And we had the one in that church in like south of San Antonio. So it was like every time this was about to get over the finish line, this convenient crisis would happen and they would stall the bill. So it's like, I sort of get why you're saying what you're saying, because we have gone through that.
I know. And it's not just you that's gone through that. A lot of other states have done that too.
But see, I'm at the point now where every time something comes up and anti-gunners come out and they start screaming gun control, I just put my hand up and I go, let me just stop you right there. Let me remind you and give you a history lesson of the fact that you and your ilk have been taking rights away from people for over 100 years through the Gun Control Act, through the National Firearms Act. You have had it your way by take for almost 100 years, and you have done nothing to improve the situation. It's time for you to shut your mouth and do it our way. And I'll even compromise. You give us 50 state constitutional carry for 5 years. And if we can't prove that crime had been lowered in that 5 years, then we'll revoke it. But I guarantee you they won't have the guts to accept that, because they would have to concede that our way works. Because an armed society is a polite society, and a wolf is less likely to attack a flock of sheep with teeth than to attack a flock of sheep with no teeth, because they keep pulling the teeth from the sheep, even though it's the wolves that are biting people.
Well, I wouldn't say call them sheeps. I would just call them.
It's an analogy on the flock of people.
I know it's an analogy, and it's a bad analogy, but you know,
But
because if every person is carrying a gun, then they're more of a canine with teeth.
Well, yeah, but the thing is if I'm a criminal and I'm walking down the street in a state of constitutional carry, and I look at a guy, I'm going to be like, am I going to rob that dude? He could be carrying a gun, right? See, you got to remember, I have a degree in criminal pathology and psychology. And in my degree, what I had learned over time is if you want to stop something from happening, stop it before it happens the first time.
Right.
So if there's a bunch of people out there exercising their rights, carrying their firearm, either concealed or open, a criminal is not going to commit their first crime the first time, because they're going to look at that person and go, I don't know if that guy's got a gun. He might be able to put 10 holes in me before I even get within 5 feet of him. So they're not going to have the guts to even start to develop the confidence to become a career criminal. You nip it in the bud before they can even get the confidence to do it. You stop the first crime before they become a serial criminal. That's
Right.
the whole principle of constitutional carry. Stop them from starting in the first place. It's that simple.
Yeah, but the Scott's also right. The problem is, after 5 years, the anti-gunners will never admit they were wrong.
It doesn't matter. If they're wrong and the doctrine sticks because they have been proven wrong, we're not petty enough to call them out. We're not going to go, see, told you. We're not going to do that because we don't have time for that. We just want to be left alone. And if you leave our rights alone and we had lowered crime, we will just be happy in the fact that society is a better place. Like there's going to be a couple of people, they're going to be like, see, I told you. But you know what? Those are the same kind of people who are out in Afghanistan going, I like war, and shooting the fucking AKs around. It's like they're the rednecks of their society. Like no one else is going to do that. Most of us are just going to be like, cool, everything's cool. That's what we want. That's what we've always wanted. Leave us alone, and everything's cool.
And then we'll push for the next thing, just like they did. They do, or they did, yeah.
Yeah, just whittle our rights back to where they were, then have them whittled away.
Well, the big question is why is the one entity who the Second Amendment was written for to keep under control, what gives them the audacity and the ability to rein that in? That wasn't written for you to mess with. That was written for you to keep you in line.
Yep.
So, because it wasn't stated in black and white, apparently.
No,
even though it was
stated in soy ink on sheepskin parchment.
I know. But the point is, apparently nobody in the government has actually ever read, I guess, a law dictionary or a dictionary from the 17th century.
Nope.
No.
Because I'll just FYI, from the 17th century to now, the definition of infringed is the same. Just FYI.
I want to talk about something that I saw. Most of you know who Sandhill Shooter is, right?
Yep, I know who John is. I met him.
Okay. I want to talk about something that he posted the other day.
What did he post?
Because I replied to his post, and I wasn't trying to be confrontational. I was just trying to make him think, and I think I got through. He posted a story about how proud he was that his state had signed a declaration that they were a Second Amendment sanctuary state. I told him that it was pointless. I'm like, why are you so... I was like, what's the big deal? I'm like, don't be happy for that. And he goes, why not? And I said, it's simple. A sanctuary declaration should follow with, we are inviting every gun manufacturer and suppressor manufacturer to come to our state and build whatever the hell you want because we no longer abide by the GCA or the NFA. That's what a sanctuary is. A sanctuary tells you that anything that you have put against us, we're just not going to follow that anymore. And you know what the federal government would have to do in that point? They would say, you know what? We can't stop you, but the second you leave your borders, we're going to nab you at the border.
Well, if you have said things in your possession,
right? But the thing is,
because they can't arrest you for having nothing.
Imagine if Texas declares that they're a Second Amendment sanctuary state, and they invite Colt, and they invite Smith and Wesson, and they invite CZ, and they invite FN to come to the state and build full auto guns, and they invite like Silencer Co. and everything to make full, just suppressors and sell them to the public. No tax stamp, no nothing. Because all that crap, the GCA, the NFA, the Hughes Amendment, all that BS is a direct infringement on your rights, right?
Uh-oh.
That's what we're a sanctuary from.
We have another Nebraskan in here.
Well, what I'm saying is everything that's built in this state, if it never leaves the borders of this state, we should have whatever the hell we want. That's what a sanctuary is, right? So when he said that he got his declaration of sanctuary state, I'm like, that is a token gesture to fool you. I'm like, until you get exactly what that means, don't ever settle for less. And I think that kind of clicked because I told him, I'm like, what does it actually mean at the end of the day? Nothing.
It's just a token gesture, so you keep voting for him. That's all it is.
Right. That's why you said when you said what an infringement is. Every law put in front of you that denies you your rights is an infringement.
Is an infringement, yes.
Yep.
Do you think I just yelled "shall not be infringed" because it's a catchy phrase?
No, it became became what people knew you for.
People know it, but it's because I've read the dictionary. By the way, Library of Congress has a dictionary from the 1700s, like 1767. And infringe is in that dictionary and means the same thing it meant then as it does now in the modern dictionary.
Right. And I think the fact that we have allowed government to try to rein in the very thing that was supposed to rein them in is just that is what is the definition of ridiculousness.
I say shall not be infringed because I believe in the message and I understand and believe in the words that define them.
Well, according to Joe Biden, nothing in the Constitution is absolute.
Yeah, and you know what? That's gonna bite him in the ass because guess what? If nothing in the Constitution is absolute, then the slavery clause, the slavery amendment in the Constitution, gone. The prohibition, gone.
Well, it's already gone.
Well, it's already gone because they got it with another amendment. But if nothing in the Constitution is absolute, they can get rid of that amendment and reinstitute prohibition. You see what I'm saying there?
Not only that, but they could have the suffrage movement and everything else like that.
Exactly.
Equal rights. That could be gone.
The amendment about equal rights, gone. Because the Constitution is not absolute. That's what I have a problem with because apparently Joe Touchy-Feely-Hand Biden doesn't understand the Constitution that defines our government. And because he doesn't understand it, he's trying to tear it down.
So the Bill of Rights is absolute because they're given to you because you are human.
Exactly.
Oh, it gets better than that. It gets better than that. Anytime the government tries to rein in the first 10 amendments in this country, you have to sit there and go, wait a minute. Did you realize that the Bill of Rights had to be written to ratify the laws of the land that built this country? The Constitution of the United States was not ratified until the Bill of Rights was accepted by the 13 colonies, meaning that now, here in the 21st century, I have to waste Congress's time to ask for a constitutional convention of the states to add an amendment to state the obvious. The Bill of Rights is not up for debate because it was required to pass the laws of the nation to form the nation. And if you don't want to follow the Bill of Rights, then you don't have a country. Just like if you don't have a recognized and respected border, you don't have a country because nobody cares.
Yeah. Rob out there is saying, NY Outcast, he says it would take an amendment to override one, to my knowledge. That is if the Constitution was absolute. As Joe Biden says, it's not absolute. So that means you can take any amendment that was put in place to add rights, you can throw that out the window because you don't have those.
No, he's right, though, because the 18th Amendment was prohibition, and it took the 21st Amendment to get rid of the 18th.
Right. So, but again, if the Constitution is not absolute, then neither of them mean jack.
Right, but I mean, we're dealing with a 78-year-old feeble old man who sundowns by 5 o'clock.
I still can't believe the man who falls upstairs beat the orange Oompa Loompa.
How do you fall upstairs?
Exactly.
I've done it.
I've never fallen upstairs. Downstairs, yes.
I've never fallen upstairs sober.
I'm fat too, but that I at least have motor control.
I've never fallen upstairs sober. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah, but don't you live in a ranch style house?
Yes.
So you don't have stairs.
So yeah.
My work does.
I have fallen upstairs because I was carrying stuff in my hands.
Well, that's technically your fault for not holding on to the rail.
Well, no, it's my fault for not using the easy up.
Yes, that's exactly your fault. But
what do you got else? What else you got on your list?
Honestly, I do want to talk about it, but I don't know if I want to go through another hour of this. But we'll just talk about it passively, and then we'll kind of merge these two topics together. Where it's about the Supreme Court. Okay, if anyone that didn't know that the cases, 2 gun cases that went to the Supreme Court were rejected because the Supreme Court doesn't hear gun cases anymore. Mm-hmm. They don't want to make any decisions that will piss the right or the wrong people off. Honestly, I honestly believe that the reason they're not doing it, they're ignoring the entire Second Amendment constitutional right workload is because they're afraid of any outcome or decision they make can get them in trouble or hurt because of one group frothing at the mouth.
Get woke, get broke means two different things. So either you lose your business or you lose your life. That's what it is. That's what they're afraid of.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is
granted, this is my opinion, obviously.
They don't want to touch Second Amendment issues because they're afraid that it's going to piss off the left. Well, so if they don't do it, then why is the left still trying to court pack? Because they don't want to talk about voting rights or whatever, right? And here's the slippery slope. They want to pack the court and add 4 more seats, correct? They want to make it 13.
Yeah.
And you know damn well, like, they went up there, what was it, a week ago? And they said, we need to pack the court to bring levity back to the Supreme Court. We're not trying to politicize this, but we're trying to bring levity back. And it's like, wait a minute. You have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and you still don't think you have enough power. So now you want to pack the courts, and you're going to push through 4 leftist justices. This isn't political? Okay, fine. Let's say you get away with it, okay? Let's say you get away with 4 new justices and you push through 4 more Merrick Garlands, all right? So for the next 2 years, the country goes into darkness. Welcome to the dark ages. Donald Trump comes back and runs for presidency a second time and becomes Grover Cleveland, the second split-term president of the United States. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to add 2 more seats to the Supreme Court, and now it's going to be 15. So now he's going to put 2 conservative justices in there to balance out your insanity. And then when he gets voted out, what are you going to do? Add 6 more liberals? Well, shit! Now we got 100 seats in the Supreme Court. Now you've got Senate plus P. This is ridiculous.
Senate plus P. I like that one.
That's what makes this ridiculous.
Yeah.
Leave it at 9.
Erstwhile is out there saying 27 of the 34 required states are calling for a convention of the states. Currently, if they hit the magic number, then technically no amendment. That's absolute. And he's exactly right, because they could just remove a prior amendment saying, we don't need that anymore.
Correct. But the problem is like, I've listened to Hannity on and off for years. They have been trying for the constitutional conventions of the states since Barack Obama's first term in office. It's just not going to happen.
The problem with a convention of the states is I don't believe that the people that are calling for a convention of the states are doing it out of the goodwill and the need of the people. I believe they're doing it so they can subvert and destroy what the Constitution is written as it is.
Correct. And here you nailed it on the head. Here's the problem. The reason that it hasn't gone through yet is because the Democrats haven't allowed it to go through yet, because they haven't moved enough Californians to other states. They haven't turned enough red states blue yet to get their way. I guarantee you, if Texas goes blue and like Georgia goes total blue and like South Carolina goes blue somehow, like if Lindsey Graham just falls over of a stroke and your state turns blue, if couple more states turn blue, they will allow the Constitutional Convention of States, because then they don't have to court pack. They'll just hit it with a pen. They'll add 5 amendments in one session. Then what do we do?
The only thing we can do.
Vote
I'm not
the hell out. That's
it. That's the only thing we can do.
But then again, we tried that, and they still got the last election. You know what's funny? They keep screaming Jim Crow. They keep screaming that it is ridiculous to ask for ID to prove who you are to vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a voter ID card. When I go vote, they still ask to see my driver's license. And I'm like, here it is.
Here.
My driver's license has a star on it because it's a real ID.
Yeah, same here.
Way back when I was a teenager, I had to provide my birth certificate and my social security card just to get my driver's license at age 15. This was way back in the 90s, okay? So when they started this Real ID program, when they started this Real ID program, mine automatically got the star. Like, I didn't have to jump through any hoops. It was already there, right?
Oh, when I had to go renew, I had to go and bring the additional documentation for the real ID because I foresaw myself having to travel in the future. And guess what? It's a good thing I did because I did have to travel.
Ah, well, see, I already had all that crap, so it's like I didn't have to worry. But here's the funny thing:
I had the documentation, so it wasn't hard to get it. It's just it was a pain in the ass that I had to go back and forth. But luckily, the DMV is 5 minutes down the road from my house, so it wasn't that much of a pain in the ass.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
See, in Mexico, to have a voter ID card, you have to have 2 proofs of ID, and it has your picture on it, and your thumbprint on your voter ID card, and you have to present it when you go vote. Do they scream Jim Crow? Because I'm pretty sure that's a lot worse than what we've got here.
Well, they honestly, I really wish George was here because then he could tell us what the Mexican version of Jim Crow is, because it's not Jim Crow.
It isn't, clearly.
No, it's something else.
Yeah, it's regular people versus cartels. Something, I don't know.
No. I think I'm not gonna mince words, but I think it's Juan Crow. I just went and looked it up. Apparently, it's Juan Crow.
Oh man,
they're not very ingenuitive.
I think
Mexico.
I scared all your panelists off.
I think you did. Congratulations.
Hey, it was my first time back in how many years?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Yeah. I think that's it tonight. I think that's as far as I want to go, unless, Oh, well, there was also another thing. We pretty much went over it, but the second time was, is the Supreme Court a lost cause?
Yes, it is. I think it needs to be left. I'm reading the same article you are, by the way.
Well, I sent you the email with the links, so
I think it is, but I also think that it's only because it's a fruitless endeavor for either side. So like trying to expand it is a fool's errand because they'll start an expansion campaign every election, and then it'll prove that this was all political. So I think before they even get caught with their hand in that cookie jar, they're going to let it die. Something will distract the people, the majority of the people, and it'll die. That's a lost cause.
Yeah.
Scott, the answer is 3.
The answer is 3. All right. So, yeah, it's just there was some other stuff. There was like the thing about Indiana and Colorado, but I really don't want to. No offense, but I really don't want to go be another downer.
You want to just like hit the cliff notes of Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana prosecutor abused the state's red flag law, allowing the FedEx killer to legally buy more guns.
Correct. And the state has issued a gag order on the investigation. So even though we had 2 really weird-looking dudes say, he had a submachine gun, which is obviously BS, they are not allowed to disclose what weapons were used and what weapons were used. Basically, they're not allowed to say what caliber, what it was, whatever, because they can't twist that narrative yet to throw out a gun control bill.
Okay, Orshwana says, I was wrong. There's 33 states currently demanding a convention of the states for 2 different reasons, so they just need 1 more.
So we just need to get rid of Lisa Murkowski, and then we can get Alaska.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm perfectly open to the idea of leaving Texas, moving into Alaska, and taking her job. I'm just saying.
I hate snow.
Well,
I hate snow with a passion, okay?
I'm fine with it. I lived in bear country. I'm fine with it. Like, I will go do that for the greater good.
I mean, I went to high school in Kentucky, and I'll be honest with you, I've had enough snow for a lifetime.
That's cool. Everybody wants the opposite of what they have, and I'm getting kind of tired of the heat and the mosquitoes the size of pterodactyls and sweating 11 months out of the year.
Well, I have it worse where I'm at. The humidity is worse over where I'm at than where you're at. Okay?
Well, I'm only like 50 miles from the coast. I have the same problem you do. Like, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife.
I'm like 40 miles from the coast to an ocean, not a.
Well, the Gulf's an ocean.
The Gulf is not an ocean.
It's big enough.
It's big, but it's not an ocean. I don't think it is.
Well, it's not a lake, and plus I've got like my whole topography here is like littered with bayous and rivers. I mean, we have mosquitoes the size of pterodactyls.
Yeah, I mean, and most of the low country in South Carolina is swamp.
I watched a cow fall over from loss of blood from a swarm of mosquitoes.
Oh my God, let's not get it. No, the ones in South Carolina, the ones in my backyard, I literally have to shoot like they're skeet.
Oh, you need to tell me something about Carolina. What is Carolina mustard, and why does it sound amazing?
Carolina mustard? You mean mustard barbecue?
I don't know.
Yeah, Carolina, there's a type of barbecue called Carolina barbecue sauce.
Sure.
Or Carolina. It's made from a mustard base. This Carolina mustard, I've never heard of it.
Oh.
So it may be something they're just pushing outside of Carolina.
May told me about it.
Don't know.
I want to have it. I gotta have it.
No, it might be one of those hipster things that they just came out with or something.
Oh, see, I don't know hipster.
See, I don't live in downtown Charleston. I live outside of Charleston so I can have 1, land, and 2, I can shoot in my backyard.
Ah, Scott's right. They do have mosquitoes the size of pterodactyls in Alaska too.
Yeah.
But they only live like 2 months out of the year.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And unfortunately, because in Alaska, they can get thawed.
I don't know. I spend most of my time on Kodiak Island, so it's like I think the coldest it ever gets is about 20, sometimes 19.
Don't you also have to worry about Kodiak bears?
Well, I already killed one and ate it, so no, I'm not worried about them at all.
You did cook it properly, right?
I did cook it properly, yes.
Because bear meat is a lot like hog, where you got to cook it for a certain amount of time to get the bacteria out of it.
Well, okay, we're gonna get into cuisine. Welcome to Rick's Life as I Eat It. No, sorry. So, little tip on bear meat. A lot of people say it's gamey. A lot of people say it tastes.
Well, I'm not saying it's gamey. I'm saying that the bacteria in bear meat is similar to pig meat.
Yeah, you get it over a certain temperature, you're okay. But the thing is like with the meat is, it's gonna taste like whatever the bear's regular diet is. So
right.
The one I shot was called it was a spring bear, and it was loaded up on like berries, and the meat was actually really good. Like it tasted just fine. And yeah. I've had black bear from Wyoming, which that bear was a bit of a scavenger, and yeah, the meat was disgusting. But it really depends on what they eat on their regular diet. Kodiaks, by and large, they're not as opportunistic as you think. They have plenty to eat. They're not starving. That's why they're so big. But like the one I killed, it wasn't because I wanted to. The damn thing snuck up on me. So he got exactly what he had coming. 3 500 Magnum rounds.
Keith Gregory out there saying at Night Strike, what part of Kentucky? I lived in the Louisville area, so I went to Oldham County High School. So there you go. Lived a little bit outside of main part of Louisville, because I don't know if you've ever been to Louisville, the downtown Louisville. Mm-hmm. It's like any old city. No, thank you. I mean, the only thing Louisville has going for it is the Colonel's Mansion. That's it. It's really that and the convention center / Six Flags. That's it.
And even Houston doesn't have Six Flags anymore.
No. I think they changed it to like Kentucky Kingdom or something. I don't even know if it's still there. So because I haven't been back in like 15 years. 15 years. I haven't been back in 15 years. Wow. It's a long time. No. Before I moved to South Carolina, I was living in Kennesaw. And I didn't even own guns at that time. And quite honestly, say what you will about Kennesaw, but the thing about Georgia and South Carolina, I've met some of the nicest people in Georgia and South Carolina than I've met over the entire South. Like the people in Florida, they're not as nice as the people in Georgia or South Carolina.
Jumpy, I'll have you know. I will have you know that I was fly fishing with my back turned to that giant Volkswagen of bear, And I didn't even want to shoot it, but I got scared, so I shot it. And it cost me a phone because I dropped into the river up to my chest as soon as it dropped in front of me. So I didn't even get the skin.
Oh, he didn't get the skin. Oh, man.
I didn't even get the skin. No, we did a deal with the local trapper, and he kept the skin. I got a back strap, a set of ribs, a shoulder roast, and a leg roast, and it's good.
Right. You know, no, he did not get to do the whole Tropic Thunder where he killed the bear and made a whole costume out of it.
No, if I could have, though, I probably would have.
Yeah. So. Jumpy saying just buy a normal rug and don't be a trophy hunter.
Right.
Wow.
Buy a normal rug and stitch a teddy bear head to it.
Right, there you go. That would be all right. What is it? What is this? Furniture Abominations?
No, I'm into ranching these days. I don't know. Like, I've been gone a long time, so like just to give you a really quick fill in, my whole life has just been work, my big fat Greek girlfriend, and a whole load of milsurp guns from the 1800s, and I've got into ranching. Like I've got 10 head of York in my house.
Did you hear? I got the one gun on my bucket list of surplus guns.
What'd you get?
I have an M1.
Oh, Scott just bought one too.
Yeah,
I'll have you know, since you were there the day I got my grenade fire SMLE.
Yes. I'm the one who pointed it out to you.
I know, thank you. The other gun that I wanted to get was a Vetterli Vitali, if you remember. And I was really stingy on taking an extra $100 out because I wasn't sure if I had the money at the time.
Right.
My Vetterli Vitali was delivered a week ago. I just got one. But good.
You finally got one?
Yeah, but good God, did I overpay for it. Like, I paid
$2,000?
No, God, no. I think the one that we looked at Wanamaker was $250. I paid a little over twice that for the one I've got now.
Right now, I'd really like to get a Krag, but unfortunately,
I got one of those too.
I don't want to pay over $1,000 for a sporterized piece of shit.
I paid $319 for mine, and if you check my channel, you'll see how nice it was. Like, I don't know how the hell I got this deal, but I'm standing right next to it now.
Yeah, but I bought an M1, but I got one of the rack specials, $650,
Nice.
$650, and I looked at all the parts because there's a website you can look at to find what date the parts are. All the parts are in between the war years.
Yeah.
And I got the bolt was a replacement bolt, so I went and got the part specific bolt for those years. So now I have, and I've already gotten it Headspace now, and I've got a 100% wartime M1.
Cool.
Also, January 1944, before D-Day.
I've turned into Mark Novak Jr. with a lot of my restoration videos and whatnot. Scott just picked up an M1 carbine.
Yeah, I saw that. Scott, the minute Scott got that, he took a picture of it and posted it in the Discord chat. So if you guys want to see what Scott gets, go to the Night Strike Discord and check that out in general chat, because Scott posts everything he gets there first.
Yeah, it drives him nuts because he and I have been. I've got one on mine just called Gun Picks, and every time one of us gets something, we just litter it with the stuff we got. But the thing that I'm working on right now is I'm trying to pick up an M1 carbine paratrooper, and we have a mutual friend. I'll tell you who it is off air, but we have a mutual friend who is willing to re-barrel it for me to 5.7 by 28.
Oh my God! Why would you do something like that?
Because the overall length of a 30 carbine to 5.7 is almost identical. Actually, and you can use M1 carbine magazines.
AWAG had to jet because he has to go to work in the morning, and we all know where he's working. But the thing is, he gave me and a fellow gunsmith the idea of taking just an M1 Garand that has a clapped out barrel. Mm-hmm. And just rebarreling it in 8mm Mauser.
Well, there was a guy who I think he made about 1,000 of them, He converted them to 458 Winchester Magnum. Dude,
Well,
I'm actively looking for one.
The reason is because the head of the 8mm Mauser and the 30-06 are nearly identical. So it's just a rebarrel, and the magazine is almost identical too.
I think you're starting to surprise people with your length of video today.
Yeah, I think I am. But we're doing some gun talk, and I really want to talk about guns right now. So we're winding down.
If I find that Garand 458 Winchester Magnum, then my title of King of Big Bores is restored. For sure.
Right. But at least you're not like Matt, who got who got dogged for not shooting his 45-70.
I gave him 100 rounds of ammo for that thing at Wanamaker, and he never told me if he shot it or not. Like, I made him 2 different hand loads for that thing. And, I don't even know if he shot it yet. To this day. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people on my 4570 reloading video, they kept asking me, why did I call it part 1 if there's no part 2? Well, I'll have you know that there will be a part 2.
It's when you shoot it, right?
No, I found the recipe for the 4570 loadings that was used in the movie Wind River with a 500 grain bullet. So, yes.
Oh, my God. You're not going to do that, are you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely going to do it. I shoot a 700 grain bullet out of my 500 Magnum with a 3-inch barrel.
I just hope it doesn't blow up on you.
It'll be fine.
You say that, then you're like, I cracked my barrel.
Look, I didn't buy a Vetterli Carcano. I bought a Vetterli Vitali.
Yeah. Okay.
And in 4 days, I'll have a Dutch Beaumont Vitali, hopefully.
So I know there's still. I was looking at it. I was looking at possibly getting one of the Carcanos, and I had the chance to get one with the bayonet, and to get one of the specific model that our famous Assassinator had.
I'll have you know, there's a really cool story behind that rifle.
Yeah.
So the guy you're talking about is obviously the Harvey Oswald.
Well, I didn't want to give him notoriety, even more so than he's already got.
That he tried to buy was the 6.5 Carcano Troop Special carbine, which is what I have. I bought it for $249 shipped to my door, and I did a restoration video on it. Y'all can see it. I did a 2-part restoration video because I wasn't happy with the way it turned out the first time.
Do you have a CNR?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why you got it.
Well, I got it for $249, but I mean, because it was $249. Right. Anyway,
I've seen them as low as $199. So,
grade C. You got to be careful with that one. So anyway, he ordered that one back in the '60s, and what had happened was the distributor that he ordered it from. I've actually got a picture of the mail order catalog listing he used, and he did pick the 9124 Troop Special. They were out of stock. So what they ended up sending him instead was the later model 7.35 Carcano short rifle. And that's the one he put an All-Pro 4X scope on, which I also have, but I put that scope on my Argentine Mauser, which I'm going to move when I buy my 735 Carcano, because I'm trying to build that rifle. But yes,
Scott said, which Sean wouldn't have bought them if I hadn't told them about it and bought one myself.
No. I bought mine before he got his. Matter of fact, I ran Rick off my Discord for 3 months because I griefed him about why he was waffling on getting his. Like, he was like, I think I want to get one of those. And I'm like, you should, dude. I bought one. Scott bought one. I did a restoration video. If yours is in bad shape, you can send it to me and I'll restore yours and send it back to you. And then he was like, well, what am I going to do for clips? So I found a company in his own state that made clips. Little did I know that I bought the entire inventory that they had. But at the time, I was like, yo, here's the clips, right? I bought all of them. I didn't know that at the time. They were out of stock. They were like, you wiped us out. Then he was like, well, what do I do for reloading dice? So I went to Titan Reloading, like 2 states away from him. Like, there it is, $30. Like I spoon fed him the whole thing, and he still didn't buy the gun, and he just took off because like I griefed him to death.
Well, you know, does he have a normal 5.56 AR yet?
He does, as a matter of fact.
Good.
He PM'd me out of the blue, and he was like, "You'll never guess what I bought. I bought an M&P Sport 2." And I was like, "Awesome. Jump in the Discord and tell the rest of the guys. They'll love to hear it." And he did. Unfortunately, there was someone in the Discord that day who literally sucked all the fun out of his day. And I was like, "Listen, Rick, don't let that person ruin your fun." I was like, I sent him links to everything he asked for without giving him any grief, and he bought all of it, and he's perfectly happy with the rifle he got. And I'm perfectly happy with the fact that he finally bought an AR, because for years he had this stigma of, "I don't like the way they look." And I'm like, you can make it look any way you want. They're Legos. And he didn't understand that. And then he was like, "Well, I don't know if I could shoot it with my arthritis." And I'm like, try shooting one first before you form this opinion. He bought one because he met a local who had one,
And he
and
shot
he let
it.
him shoot it. And he was like, "Oh, wow.
Oh wow, I can handle this easy."
Yeah, he was like, this was what all the fuss was about. So he bought one.
Because there's literally there is recoil, but it's the recoil on an AR-15 is negligible.
Right. And see, the thing is he only got to shoot 30 rounds that day, so he didn't actually get to experience the annoying part of an AR, which I told him. I'm like, you bought an M&P Sport 2, so it has a regular round wound spring in the buffer. And he's like, yes. And I said, if you shoot that thing enough, you're gonna start to pick up, your right ear is gonna pick up this really annoying zzz, zzz every time you fire it, because that damn spring likes to rattle around in the buffer tube. And I'm like, you haven't experienced that yet, but I promise you will. And the day you tell me that drives you nuts, I will send you a flat spring.
I've been considering getting the silent spring setups, you know, like by Armor Spec, or even getting the Trinity. I know people say bad things about Trinity Force, and I understand, but I was thinking about getting theirs too, because it was just, I've seen them being on sale lately for like $35.
Give it a go, man. Like, I still run a lot of just regular stock ones. I can live with the buzzing, but I can understand why people get annoyed by it.
I mean, I usually go mil spec all the way unless I want to maul the shit, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I just bought an MOE upper, mid-length upper with it's got the Magpul front, you know, handguards on it. It's got the rear M-bus. You know, I'm waiting on that to get here, so I'll probably get it sometime this week, and I'll put it on one of the rifle builds that I've had lying around, and I'll have more rifles again.
Nice.
But because I bought that upper cost me $350 PSA. And unfortunately, because I did that, now I don't have any money for the 9mm upper that I need to buy. You know, for that pistol build. And I'm like, I might as well just tear the whole thing down and just turn that into a rifle and just ditch the whole pistol idea, because, you know, in like what, 10 or 12 days, it's got to be illegal anyways.
Well, I wanted to get one of those Magwell adapters at first.
I have one.
And they were, at the time, they were a bit pricey. So instead, what I ended up doing was I bought a Foxtrot mic lower, and then I went crazy with it. I put the mines. They were like, "Oh my God, you got a suppressor!" And I'm like, "Right, yeah, sure."
Yeah, no.
Now I got to build one of my bucket list guns because I do estate clearances for a few people.
Did you see AWAG's latest rifle build?
What did he get?
He posted it on Instagram. But his latest rifle is he got the AR bug, and he got the rifle length AR bug. And he's like, you know, I really need a bayonet for this. I'm thinking probably an M9 or an M7. And I just went and met him one day. I'm like, here
you go.
Here you go. He's got the M10 scabbard instead of the original, you know, M8, but it's better. It's better. So just keep that. And he went and put it, and he posted a picture on Instagram saying, "Check this out. It looks great with a bayonet. I love bayonets." And I go, there you go. I promised that if you moved down here, I'd give you a bayonet, and now you have a bayonet.
Well, I was trying to talk Tony for years into selling me his 30-06, and he wouldn't do it. He goes, "I can't shoot it," but he was like, I want to hang on to it just in case. And I'm like, okay.
It's just like my M1. I can't shoot it because, well, all I've got is surplus ammo, and the surplus ammo. I've also got some soft point ammo, but I'm holding a lot of that soft point in case I need to use it to do any sort of hunting.
Right. Well, when I did an estate clear out a couple months back, and this guy's wife was like, "Yeah, my husband, he was a hunter and a rifle builder." And I'm like, "Oh." And she goes, "Yeah, you can go up in that room." She was like, "Take whatever you want because I have no use for it." So I went up there and I went through these cabinets and I found like 3 stocks, and I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I took the stocks. I found 2 barrels and I didn't know what they went to, and I was like, "Cool." And then I found this receiver that was just sitting in a drawer, and it said Remington 1903A3, and I'm like, "Yes."
So you took it.
Yeah. And I found 2 bolts, and I found like a bunch of small parts, and $70 later from Numeric, I had all the rest of the parts, and I built my own 1903A3. And then a month later, with the other parts and another barrel I found, which I found out Criterion made both of these barrels, which was really exciting.
Yeah. If you don't know, Criterion makes all reproduction barrels for all the CMP guns.
Yes.
And that's where I got my M1, because I got my Garand for $650 out the door, shipped to my house from the CMP.
Well, the other barrel I had was I didn't know what it was. It said 264 Win Mag, and I thought, what the hell is this, right? So I did a little bit of research, and I went through the other receivers I had, and I built a 1961, so it's considered what they call a pre-64 model, Winchester Model 70 and 264 Winchester belted Magnum, which is essentially the great-grandfather of 6.5 Creedmoor, but it goes a whole hell of a lot faster.
Well, that was the other idea. Instead of getting a clapped out M1 Garand and changing the barrel out to 8mm Mauser, which is absolute heresy. But as I stated before, I can find 8mm Mauser new in box at PSA right now, but no 30-06.
For now.
No. But the other idea was, why don't we just make M1 Garands in 6.5 Grendel instead and just, sell them?
I'd buy it. Dude.
Because again, we were looking at calibers were the same size as 8mm Mauser and 30-06, and had the same case head size, and it comes 6.5 Grendel, 8mm Mauser, 30-06 have about the same case head size, so it would only be just changing out a barrel because the pressures are very similar.
Well, so here's the problem, because I used to ask this question a lot. I'm like, why the hell? In the world of milsurps, why is our own country's milsurp so prohibitively expensive compared to, what I've been buying for the last couple of months?
Because our guns are regulated.
Well, that plus they're not making new ones. And the reason they're not making new ones is because the tool-up cost is insane. And to make it to the same standard, it would be a $3,000 rifle. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something there. If they wanted to remake an M1 Garand on an end block clip with 6.5 Grendel, I would be the first person in line to buy one.
Why not make M1 Garands in the original caliber? That was that wasn't 30-06. It was something else. It was what? It was like a 243 or something.
I don't know. I always thought it was 30-06.
No, it was originally in a different caliber first. Let's see if I can find it, because I know it was. What was it?
For me right now, when it comes to military calibers, my brain is stuck somewhere between 1860 and 1899. So that's what I've been stuck on for the last couple of months. But I will tell you, since people are watching, if you've noticed, there was an ammo shortage and a bit of a gun shortage, and some of the modern guns are prohibitively expensive compared to what they should be selling for with their MSRPs. Milsurps right now are a bargain. Like, if you start looking in the right places, you will find milsurps of anything that you can imagine for ridiculous prices. My local had a Krag. It had a cracked stock and a pitted barrel. He went at $950. I bought my Krag with a perfect mirror barrel, 22-inch barrel. Now, granted, mine came in a 1950s period correct sporter stock, but it's a really nice one. The action was unmolested. $319.
I think Scott says he thinks it was like 270. I thought it was like 7mm, wasn't it?
270.
276, I think. Pedersen. 276 Pedersen, I think it was.
I don't know, because I know Pedersen put up they put up a competing rifle at the time because they wanted the contract.
Hello, Ghost Shadow. I'm looking this up because this is interesting. Because I believe it was 276 Pedersen. Yeah. Yep, it was 276 Pedersen.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that the round was an experimental round, so it never reached full production.
Wasn't it a barrel burner though too?
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest
Scott
problem.
says he got his M1 carbine for $655.
Yeah,
I am poor right now, so that's not going to happen. I mean, all the guns that I bought, I've got right now. That's it. I'm actually looking at possibly trying to sell an AR again. So we'll see if I can get what I want out of it, but I doubt it. People will still probably say, "Here, I'll give you $400 for an AR that's MSRP $800 right now."
My UPS guy before the election, he was like, "I heard you got rifles for sale," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've got a 7.5-inch AR pistol that I'm willing to part with." And he's like, "What do you want for it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, give me like $800 for it." I was like, "Red dot, couple of mags, I'll hook you up." He's like, "Cool," and he waffled on it for 2 months, and then the election happened, then the inauguration happened, and then he hit me up and he goes, "Hey, do you still have that rifle?" I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "You still want to sell it?" I'm like, "Yep, $1,600. And he goes, "How come so much?" I'm like, "Go to the gun show this weekend and come back to me and tell me if that's too much." So he did. He came back and he was like, $1,600, huh? I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man, I'm not going to find a better deal." He's like, "Let me get back to you on that." And he's waffled on that. But you know what he did do? He paid $1,200 and bought 2 of my puppies. Goes to show where his priorities are, right?
Well, if you can't afford the rifle, get the dogs, right?
Right. Like, you can't shoot the criminal. At least you can get tipped off that there's one in your house.
Yeah, at least the dog will bite their nuts or something, right?
That 276 had the same problem that 280 Ross did, which was it was a high velocity round, and it wore out the throats of the chambers and ruined the barrels.
Or like the Ross rifle itself, it was a great marksman rifle, but it was a poor battle rifle.
Yeah, which I'm trying to buy right now. Actually, I'm in the running for a Ross Mark III, which is why Scott and I one up each other every day on Discord. He's like, "Hey, how about buying this? How about buying this?" And I'm like, "I can't. I'm trying to buy a Ross rifle right now, and you know how expensive those are." So that's kind of where I'm stuck. I'm stuck between a Ross rifle, a Dutch Beaumont Vitali, and 2 Lebel rifles. No, sorry, 2 Berthier rifles, a 3-rounder and a 5-rounder. Because for the price of all of those rifles, I still can't buy an SR-25. It's like, yeah, I'll take the 5 rifles instead of just the 1. Because I already built my AR-10 and it shoots lights out. So I've spent more for the barrel for my AR-10 than most people spend on their whole AR-10. So.
Wow, that's just you though.
No, God, no. The only reason I did it was because I've built 4 AR-10s for other people, and they asked me what they should use, and I recommended this one brand of barrel. And so when it was time to build my own, I'm like, why would I cheap out on one when I build nothing but these? So I called Lilja, and I was like, "Yo, I need a 24-inch full barrel." Gotcha.
Here's the thing: you remember when I got my C308, and I was so happy about getting it at the price I got it at. Yeah, I had issues with it, and I got replacement parts, and that fixed my issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the AR-10s were like had gotten down to as cheap as like I get one of the same price I could get an AR here at Palmetto State.
Yeah,
but I looked at it. It's like, do I really want to spend $400 on an AR-10 platform and have to get more magazines? It ended up the magazines being more than normal AR-15 magazines cost is what broke it for me. Because look at even now, even though we have this situation with firearms, go and look at the price of C308 or Semi-Max. They're still pretty damn dirt cheap compared to AR-10 magazines.
Well, yeah. See, like the problem that you had is when you buy in. So when I built mine, it was before the election. It was like springtime last year.
Right.
And what ended up happening was I went to Primary Arms and I ordered Aero M5 parts, the lower and the upper. And what had happened is at the time they had all these stupid restrictions for COVID. So I placed the order. They delayed me by like 2 weeks, and then they were like, okay, you can come in and pick up your parts. I'm like, sweet. My invoice total was something like $600 and something just for like internal parts, a lower and an upper receiver, and a skeleton stock. And I went over there, and the guy was like, oh man, I'm really sorry. A lot of this stuff isn't in stock. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? And he was like, I'll tell you what, I'll upgrade you with this and this and this and this and this, and I'll just give it to you at cost. And I'm like, cool, whatever, let's do it. Because I had to leave work and drive an hour south. So I was like, whatever, let's just do it. He gave me all my stuff, and then he was like, that'll be $219. I'm like, what? And he goes, I told you I was going to give it to you at cost. And I'm like, yeah, I just thought you were going to give me the upgraded parts at cost. He's like, nah, I looked at your order history. He was like, I gave you everything at cost. Thanks. So with the money I saved, I bought the little Javero. I was like, hell yeah. So like I built the rifle, I took it to the range, post-election, post-inauguration, and the first guy that walked up to me offered me $2,500 for it on the spot. I had only put 4 rounds through it. He was like, I will give you $2,500 for that rifle. I was like, no. Like I wanted to be snippy, and I was like, no, but thanks for letting me know what you think it's worth.
Honestly, I would have said cash.
Nah, this is one of those few builds that everything turned out exactly the way I had hoped. And I got to make fun of Patrick because mine never pierced primers.
Ooh,
oh, dude,
go after Patrick.
He went through so many growing pains with his. I mean, his is dialed in now, but like I got to ride him a little bit, and I was like, the only reason I built mine was to prove to you that I know what I'm doing. And he's like, are you saying I don't know what I'm doing? I'm like, well, I didn't pierce any primers. It's not my fault, man. That's literally just, it's not my fault, man.
You are so mean sometimes.
Nah.
No, you are. I know you are because you're a McCoy.
I'm just ribbing him. Actually, no. You want to talk about mean? Ellis has an AKP and he won't sell it to me, and he won't tell me when they're going to get them in stock, so I can't buy one. That's mean. That's super mean.
I could tell you a bunch of things about PSA off air of what's going on, so you would not be surprised by any of it.
Nah, he told me some of the I'm not allowed to tell people in public what's about to happen at PSA, and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. I'll sit and wait for it to happen. Here's my bag of popcorn.
Yep, me too. Of
course, I'm gonna need a bag of money too if that's a hint of what's about to happen.
Yeah. But I got it from both sides because I get it from Ellis,
AWAG.
And I also get it from Austin AWAG because AWAG works for the machine shop that the parent company owns.
Oh, see, so he's the guy I need to talk to about where the hell my AKP is.
Yeah, like really. Anyways, I think we're gonna end it here. We had some gun talk. We'll probably talk some more off air, but thanks everyone for hanging out with us. And I'm trying to get back in the saddle. I'm still not quite there. I'm working on it. It's going to be a process. So, any help, any encouragement, any ideas or suggestions, throw them down in the comments when this becomes a video. Also, go ahead and email me if you have an idea or a topic you'd like me to go over. I am more than open to it, as long as it's like a gun topic about gun news or stuff that we would care about. I don't care as long as it's PG-13, PG-14, okay? Because I know Scott can pull some stuff out that is not safe for work at all.
No.
And Scott does it because he's trying to be funny. 100%.
Maybe it's a New England thing.
Maybe it is, but I don't hate Scott at all. Scott's a great guy. It's just he gets
You guys
overexcited.
can send the "Don't Put Ponery on the Panel" emails too. It won't hurt my feelings.
I usually stick to an hour, but because Ponery's here, it felt like we needed to go for another half an hour or another hour.
Yeah, just
for the old days at least.
mm-hmm.
All right, so with that, we'll see you later. Now, thank you all for listening. This was Hit or Miss. Night Strike trying to get back on the horse edition.